All right, folks, this is Mike Kegley with Kedrick Prince. We got Marcus Griffin. The Illini do really kick some butt tonight. Made it a little closer down the stretch than I would have liked. But I'll tell you what, this was the type of performance that you need if you want to be a team that's going to challenge for a 1, 2, or 3 seeds. Ked, give me your impression overall of what we saw tonight.
We saw a really good basketball team tonight. We really, if you're an Illinois fan, which obviously you probably are listening to this podcast, I don't care we'll talk about how the game ended, but the fact that Illinois beat an extremely talented Texas Tech team, and granted, Illinois was at home, and we can talk about the free throws, but the way that game was played, sometimes I don't think they got any fair advantages because, I think Texas Tech got away with 1 million travels, and, they're going to complain about the fouls. But this game, to me, was huge because you needed – last year when they only played Tennessee at home, they lost this game. They lost this game, and you need that signature win, Mike. And you said it right at the beginning of this podcast. When it's time for the seeding for the tournament, this is going to be a feather in your hat because the rest of the games are either on the road or on a neutral site. So anything could go at any time. So I like the fact that they won this game. I like how they did it. Welcome to Champaign, Mr. Andrei Stojakovic. And they beat the number 11th ranked team in the country, and they still did it, missing arguably the 1 or 2 best players in the country in Thomas Law.
Yeah. Marcus?
Well, in regards to seedings and everything, when you look at the NCAA tournament, it was a good win, but I nitpick things and I look at how we could be better and all that good stuff. But I know we'll get into all that later, but it was a great team win.
Yeah, totally agree. I look at this as, this is the type of game that you want to schedule better teams, but you also got to beat better teams. And to me, this is really, really good. And let's go over a couple of the stats real quick, just so people can be aware of it. Texas Tech shot 53%, Illinois 49%. 34 for 64 was Tech, 29 for 59 was Illinois. Field goal percentage, free 3-point percentage was 27 for Tech, 32 for Illinois, 6 for 22 for Tech, 7 for 22 Illinois. Free throws was 75% to 70. Tech was 3 for 4. Illinois was 16 for 23. Big difference there. Turnovers tied at 13, but the key was points off of turnovers, 29 for Illinois, 16 for Texas Tech. This is something that's a reversal of what we've seen the last few years. Illinois out-rebounded them 34 to 30. Defensive rebounds were tied at 23. Offensive rebounds, Illinois had an 11-7 advantage. Second chance points, Illinois won there 14 to 6. Bench points, Illinois won 26 to 7. Points in the paint, 52 to 42 for Tech. Fast break points, 6 to 4 Illinois. Blocks, 3 for Tech, 5 for Illinois. Steals, 7 for Tech, 6 for Illinois. Assist, 20 for Tech, only 5 for Illinois. The game was tied 4 times. The lead change was 5 times. Illinois led for 33 minutes and 24 seconds in a game that they played very well. And I gotta tell you, I know people will look at Stojakovic and they'll say 11 for 16. What a game. But I'm going to make Ked mad here because to me, the 2 things that he did were so important. He had 3 steals, but 2 of them in the second half when they tried to get the ball into Toppin. And those steals, Toppin was darn near unstoppable. Those 2 steals may have won the basketball game. Ked, I'll throw it to you.
Thank you. Because you know what, Mike, you're my homie. You could have explained it. This is all 3 of us. Griff, you played at that level, but I've coached at a higher level as well. Let me explain something to you guys. It was so frustrating to me and I don't know what was said during the timeouts because I wasn't there. So it may have been discussed or not. But what I'm saying is at least 8 consecutive times, Texas Tech went to the same play every single time. It was a pick and roll game, and it was going to be Watts every single time Toppin every single time, pick and roll, and a pocket pass. Pocket pass. I'm going to see that in my sleep tonight. And I'm screaming, they're not even looking to shoot. Somebody, just one time for Father Prince here. I shouldn't say that. Just one time, steal it. Just go for the ball. And so Yakovich figured it out. And then the next 2 possessions down the court, Texas Tech went away from it. Because if you're going to sit there and you're going to allow teams to do the same thing over and over again, and it didn't work for them. And I cannot understand why Kylan did a good job one-on-one holding him down, and I understand why Illinois did that. But Kylan's natural reaction is to play help defense. And as soon as he did that, every single time, it was a 2-man game, and it was a layup for the guy who at one point in time didn't miss the whole second half. So those, we can look at the numbers, and it was great with what Andre did. But I'm going to tell you, those steals at the end during that time strain, the stretch, changed the game because Texas Tech eventually said, okay, we're going to have to stop this, especially when Stojakovic is in the game. A couple of times in the second half, they went back to it because it was different matchups. But those are the things in the game that I look at, or things from a coaching standpoint. That stuff matters because I would have ran to. He could have had 50 points if they wouldn't have stopped that.
Marcus?
Yeah. I don't know how critical I'm going to be today because I don't want people sending me hate mail and everything. I don't want to get hate mail in my inbox. But today's game is what I've been talking about with the physicality, who's going to step up on the defensive side of the ball. Because when you got to put Boswell on a big guy, that makes me feel a certain type of way. Somebody is going to have to man up because we got some big people that's in the Big Ten. Somebody's going to have to man up and guard those big boys that's going to be trying to get buckets. I don't know who. Maybe you guys are a little closer to the action than I am right now. Maybe you can give me somebody who's going to be in there, who's willing to sacrifice their offense to stop somebody on the defensive side of the ball. But today, big boy Toppin was going off, left hand. I have never seen somebody shoot so many left-hand shots. Like, I would have jumped on that shoulder. He would have took a right-hand shot. He would have
at some point. Yes.
I would have jumped so far on that side. He would have showed me a right-hand drop step. He would have showed it to me. I don't care if he made it. He would have just had to show me he can do it.
More than once, too. More than once. And Mike Griff, I'm going to ask you something here. A lot of coaches do this. I'm like 70-30. I'm leaning toward the 30 end of it. A lot of coaches do what Brad Underwood did, and that is they will take a smaller guard to guard a post player or a player who's posting up because the lower base, they think it's tougher for them to get the ball and they're quicker to get around and they're not as effective. I don't know if I agree with 100%, but when you played, did anybody ever do that to you? Did you ever feel like, man, you know what, there's a smaller little pest down here on me and it's not as easy because you're used to banging against big boys?
It's easier. It's easier if you get out your emotion. So all Toppin had to do was post up a foot further up the lane. That's all he had to do. And let him front him all day long. But he was in his head. He was trying to think, I'm not going to let this little guard post me down on the block. And if I'm fronting you on the block, your room of error is so small getting that front pass.
Bingo.
So that's how come all he had to do was take 2 feet up. Just take 2 feet up the lane and let him front him all day long. Throw the ball over the top.
Exactly.
Throw the ball over the top. But he was so frustrated.
Yeah, and when I fronted bigger guys like that, you had to push them down because if they, like I said, otherwise they go over the top and make you look like an idiot.
Guards used to do it to me all the time. And then I would be like, I'm trying to bang, but if you're going to front me, I'm going to let you front me. I'm just going to walk you up the lane.
Exactly.
And then the guards knew to throw it to the corner of the backboard. Just throw it to the corner of the backboard. I will go get it. There's nothing they can do. Absolutely nothing. But what they can do, if I'm sitting on the block trying to post up and he's just sitting on my legs, he can sit on my legs when I got him 4 foot up the lane all he wants. I'm just going to put my rear leg on his back and put my hand up to the backboard and tell him to throw the ball up there.
Yeah, the other thing I thought Boswell could have done. Now I know this isn't very well liked by other players, but with Toppin's height, and he does have a tendency to swing those arms around.
Yeah,
Boswell could have easily got connected like the guy like happened Watts did at the end of the game. He could have easily taken the dive and got a foul or two on Toppin. I know I know you big guys hate it when us little guys do that to you, but that is definitely a strategy there. And I got to be honest with you, a couple things that people have talked about. I think the defense is going to have to be Boswell, and I think that's where your big issue, like the loss of Morez up north.
Yeah.
You know, he was another big defender, and I think people maybe underestimate that. But I tell you, Stojakovic, he's not going to be a guy who maybe handcuffs folks, but his anticipation was good. That block shot at the end of the game, he knew where it was going. And what I liked about it, you know, Marcus, you can talk about this, but he jumped to the release point, not to the player.
Because that's how you get fouls. Yeah.
Exactly. And little things like that. I tell you what, one of the things that Sturdy talked about when Stojakovic came is he said, you're going to get a player who's really good, and he is not going to have to do everything that he did for Cal, and you might see a player who elevates because he doesn't have to be the man who does everything. You know, I think that's a big deal, you know. So
can I say something real quick?
Yep.
Stojakovic, I love him at that elbow. Late in the game, when you got shooters on each side and when you got the floor spread, it's kind of hard where you're going to dig and where you're going to double from, because he's one dribble to the rim, or if you back off, he can knock that 15-foot jump shot down. I definitely, he was in his bag in that second half.
Yeah. And look, you know, people had some comments on Merkovich. You know, it's interesting. He's not quick. Okay. We saw that he's not quick. We also saw that he's not particularly fast from end to end.
Nope.
The thing that I liked about him was he still gets his feet. He's very good at getting his body in position and making guys go over the top of him.
Yeah.
I just think I think he needs time to get that conditioning from Fletch to help him maybe get where he needs to go a little quicker.
You got it, KP.
Well, I think, you know, the deal is with him, I think a lot of people, he's methodical. And I don't think I'm trying to help the guy out. I think he is fast. He's just not quick. Because because he can move, man. He can. And I'll tell you what, to preface my comment, he can get by people. He can get to the basket, and he doesn't always use picks to get it. So it looks really weird. It's something we're not.
It's a 40-year-old game.
Yeah, and it looks like he can't move. I'll tell you what, and as people are going to think I'm lying, but you can ask all the other guys who cover the University of Illinois, and I'm not going to say their names because there's a lot of big hitters out there. Why don't you ask them how many NBA scouts are coming to Champaign to look at him? So he's obviously is a little bit quicker than what we see. It just looks like, I don't even know how to explain it. Somebody's going to come up with the word, but it just is so methodical.
Molasses.
Yes, and it's just different looking. But he's effective as hell doing it.
Because he got a jump shot. The only reason he's effective is because he can shoot.
And I think he does understand leverage more than most of these guys. You know, he gets the body in between there. I noticed several times he didn't get the rebound, but where he was at prevented. I think if he hadn't been fairly aggressive, I think Toppin might have had 3 or 4 more boards. It's just he couldn't go through Merkovich. You know, and there's a beauty to that. As I look, obviously Big Z we heard from Zeno, who obviously, Zeno Joe, one of our guys. He said that Big Z was holding his hamstring and came out of the game and didn't go back in. So hopefully that's just something that is a little bit of tightness. But these hamstrings scare me because those things can go on for a while, and you can also play and think you're doing well and find out that you're not when it comes back. So I'm hoping that whatever it is was minor with that.
I got a question for you guys. How did y'all feel about the post-up game in this game tonight?
Well, David, David,
go ahead. Big Z.
Are you talking about David?
I'm talking about anybody. Z. Anybody.
Well, no. You know what? The only game. I mean, if you're talking about David, I thought he tried a few times, and if you go, he was much more effective the first half. You are not going to. Nobody. If anybody's expecting Big Z to be a post-up player, and it's hard to fathom it, Griff, because he's 7'16". Okay, I'm being sarcastic, so don't anybody call me out on that. He's really tall, but that's not his game. He refuses to go in the post, and that's why his brother, because his brother can do both, which is why he's probably a better player. David in the first half was really effective in the post, but what I like Illinois did, they left that floor open, and that's why you saw Andrej Sajakovic and Kylan Boswell and Keaton Wagler just carve people up with that offense. They left that floor open, and which is what they like. Now, if you had Ivicic down there, Thomas Law, you have a better post-up game. In the second half, I think if they really want to go to Merkovich more in the second half, I think that was an option.
I just think we shot 22 threes, and that was good for us. I think that's where we need to be. I think the 20 to 22 threes is a good number for us, but I just feel like we gotta get easy baskets. Like, I understand the pro-style offense. I understand that because you want guys to feel comfortable so they can get to the next level. I understand all that. But once you got a 6'9" freak of nature down there who can use his body against anybody, he has to get looks. You got to give him looks, even if he's not making them. Like, you have to put the defense on their heels. We cannot be a one-dimensional team.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
I can't hear you, KP. I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry. I said you're not going to make threes all the time. That's not going to happen. Yeah. And I was impressed. You guys mentioned this. They're a great three-point shooting team, and they didn't do a lot of that second half. That's something. Maybe I'm thinking that if you really think about it, they were averaging 108, 9 points a game, and I'm telling you, they didn't launch. I know Ben Humrickhouse shot a couple, and Zonomir. I don't think how much he played the second half. I don't remember when he went out, but they didn't launch a lot of threes. I think Wagler shot a couple because the shot clock was running down. But that shows you this is an older team. And this is what Coach Underwood said last year that he wanted. And you can really tell because they didn't launch him. And I don't know. I'm just really excited what the future holds if they can stay healthy. Beating a team like this, because I'm telling you, Texas Tech is good. I'm sitting here thinking no matter what happened, win or loss, you have to give credit to them. That team is really good. They defend well, and they're going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people.
You higher on Texas Tech than I am. Like, they need a lot of offense happening from Toplin. Toplin makes their team go. If he is not getting double teamed, if you play him single covered and you just die, their team, they don't have a lot of guys that can beat. It seemed like today Illinois did a great job of keeping the guards out of the paint. Ooh, my camera jumped. They did a great job of keeping guards out of the paint, but you're very high on them. I see they want to muck up the game. They want it to be a slug fight a little bit, Texas Tech. But, yeah, you're a lot higher than them. I didn't see an 11th ranked team today.
Well, I tell you what, it's a good team.
Yeah,
and
good team.
I think what they did in the second half, let's give Texas Tech credit. In the second half, they held Illinois, to 43% shooting, over 7 from the three. And I really think they picked up the defense, made it uncomfortable for the Illini. I'm going to say, here's my one bone pick of the day. I did not like the way Andrei Stojakovic wasn't out there at the start of the second half, and I thought they left him on the bench too long. That's my only critique of the game. Ken,
Well,
you can argue with me, but I would like to see him in there.
I'm not going to argue. So here's what coaches do. But Coach Underwood was an older school guy, and I can assure fans this: if his knee is fine Friday, that starting lineup won't look like that.
Right.
And what coaches do, I'm not one of the guys to do it. Okay, great. Stojakovic has been out. You didn't start him. But the second half, I probably would have. But most old school coaches stick with their rotation. But if it was me, he would. If he's going to start in the second half, we're not going to start in the second half, he'd have been in at the 17-minute mark. So I agree with you, Mike. I'm not mad about them. A lot of coaches do that. I'm telling you, he's not the only one.
No, and I just, like I said, I would have just liked him in there a little bit earlier in the second half. Didn't have to start.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see, because the offense really killed or really slowed down because they put the locks on. And I got to give Wagler credit for a freshman. Now he's not being asked to do all the things that Io did. Io was asked, they put everything on his shoulders. But Wagler, 11 points, 7 rebounds. He did have 3 turnovers, but I thought he played well, and he had a couple really important rebounds that if he didn't hustle for, again, would have made this thing a little closer. I thought he played amazing for a freshman, and I will say that while Ben Humrickhouse he was quiet, but he had 6 boards tonight. And I think that's something that is really understated, because last year if he didn't make any threes, sometimes he wouldn't do anything.
Facts.
And this year he was in there in the lane causing problems and getting rebounds. I thought that was an improvement over what we saw last year.
Agree. I'm sorry, KP. I know you was going to say something.
Go ahead.
Just 2 things. Going back to Stojakovic real quick, I believe that if Illinois would have lost that lead going into the end of the half, I believe he probably would have started the second half. Since they had the momentum in that game, I think Coach wanted to ride that momentum coming out of halftime. And again, we saw what Texas Tech did to start of the second half, not missing a shot with the first 10 minutes of the second half. So, but I can't wait to see him in the starting lineup. They're going to be able to put up a lot of points. Oh, my God. They're going to be able to score with the best teams in the country.
Mike, yeah, they are. When you get Stojakovic in there and you get Thomas Law back. Mike, I want to just talk about one thing here. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. Please, if you disagree, you're still gonna be my homies tomorrow. A lot of people, I don't know if they can understand or comprehend saying this is not an upset. Because you're at home doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. To me, it is, Griffin. I'm going to tell you why. To me, it is. I want to hear why. Should Illinois be expected to win? Who was a higher-ranked team? Who was the higher-ranked team? That's what an upset is. It could be number 20 and number 1. Because Illinois is home and because they were favored to win, you don't get upsets because, well, I'm going to go look at the betting odds. I'm going to go to DraftKings and see who should win or who's at home. The higher-ranked team in this game was Texas Tech, and Illinois upset them. Now, if Illinois wasn't ranked, people wouldn't say anything. But how in the hell is that not an upset when the higher team, when the lowest ranked team beat them? I'll hang up and listen.
Well, listen. You at home, I don't care what your ranking is. I don't care what your opposing ranking is. You're supposed to win every last one of those games. It's just, this is coming from a player.
So what's an upset then? So what's an upset? What would be considered an upset? With that philosophy, what would be considered an upset?
I don't think you winning a home game on your home floor is an upset, because in my mind, I'm expected to win every time I step on my home floor. That's why I lost one home game in 2 years at Illinois.
We get that, but nationally. And then we get that. I understand that as a player. When I'm sitting here, oh gosh, you're right, of all teams. At least you didn't say Iowa.
No, they didn't beat me at home.
When I listened to the post game when it ended, Steve Smith flat out said the same thing I did. And people are arguing with me on Twitter. He said the exact same thing I did. It was an upset. And no matter how you look at it, and I agree as a player, yeah, you would think that. But anyway, moving past that, you guys talked about Keenan Wagler's comment. I mentioned at the beginning of the show his 3 turnovers. Mike, 2 of those were not his fault, and I don't understand.
I agree.
I mean, he went to the basket, they cut him off. His pump fake, it didn't work, and he was looking to pass, and nobody moved. They just stood there holding their hands up like your 4th grade team, Griff. I've coached at that level, so I know they do it.
Yeah.
Instead of coming to the ball to either get it or make a cut. So, and I know it's going to be on the stat sheet, but I can assure you this. Coach Underwood, one time he shot a shot because no one moved, and Coach Underwood got up and applauded him because he knew it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, look, I go back on that, and I think I thought Wagler a couple times. It shows you how much his team trusts him, because you get down to the last 2 minutes of a game, and you're a freshman, and you got the ball at 20 feet, and nobody's really going to help you. So I thought that was a tip of the hat to him. I thought he played really well. And I think this is one of those games. The more interesting thing for me is Illinois played, 8 guys this game. And we know that Tomislav isn't there. We know that Petrovic isn't there. So that gets you down to 10 guys. I really hope Ty Rodgers can make it back this year. I'm not counting on him, but that's 11 guys. You know, there is some opportunity for depth here that Illinois has that I don't know that we've seen in a while. And it looks like, I know, but it looks like Underwood's willing to go a little deeper than what he has typically. So that to me is a ray of hope as well.
Yeah, I don't a lot of coaches, they start out the season trying to figure out different lineups and all that good stuff. But I don't see a lot of coaches coming February and March playing 11 players.
Right.
It's going to get down to his best 8. But just to piggyback on something, KP, you said what was an example of an upset? Last year, when Tennessee came into Champaign and won, that was an upset.
I don't remember what the rankings were, so I'm not going to sit.
I don't care. That's what I'm saying. I don't worry about the rankings.
We don't. But from a national outside perspective, that's what I'm saying to you. Because, I mean, I get what you're saying. Illinois, you know what? I don't know, because if you're not as good, if you're not as talented. Now, last year, I don't know. I don't want to say they weren't as talented, but they were good enough where they should have won at home, I think.
But just imagine, hypothetically speaking, you have 13 players on your team who think like me.
I think like you too. I'm just saying,
you cannot lose home games.
You shouldn't, and it won't.
And how many home games did they lose last year?
I know one that made me sick to my stomach was USC, because I was sitting there watching it live. 2 or 3 home games last year, correct? Yeah. Because I lost to Tennessee, they lost to USC, and I think they may lost one other. Purdue.
The two things that you can say if you want to throw rocks at Brad Underwood, the 2 things that people can throw at him is you haven't done, quote, well enough in the tournament, and you lose too often at home.
He loses a lot. I haven't noticed that. Okay.
No, I'm just saying they lose more than you would like, especially if you go back to the Lou Henson, you go back to the Bill Self, early Weber. And the ironic thing is if you win these games at home, and I don't think Brad Underwood isn't telling his guys this, but you win these games at home, it's a lot easier to get that 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed. Yes, that makes your tournament run much easier than a 5, 6, or 7, or 8 seed.
KP, this is how I used to look at our season. I will say, guys, we're going to win every road game. Let's split on our neutral games. We're going to win every road game that we are supposed to win. And then our 50-50 games, we're going to split those. At the end of the season, you're going to come out when we play 12 to 13 Big Ten wins, you're going to find yourself up for a Big Ten championship. That was our mindset. If you win all your home games, go to your neutral sites, You split those or win those. Your big time, like you're playing your Michigan States back then, it was your Indianas, it was your Wisconsins. If you win 80% of those games, now you're looking at yourself as a 1-2 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair way of looking at it, and I think that's what you that's a great thing for the guys to shoot for.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately you've got to figure out a way. And again, I'm not trying to throw rocks at Brad Underwood. I'm just saying,
no, not at all.
I'm just saying that they they've lost a few. That a guy like Underwood with his demeanor and focus, kind of surprises you.
Yeah.
And I think this team has the depth. My biggest concern is just when they get into a physical game, I want to see how they're going to play physically, because Toppin's a beast, and you're going to run into a few in the Big Ten. You're going to run into a few, and I think this is why Underwood plays this schedule that he is, because I think he thinks his team is good. And he wants to get them conditioned. I mean, you come through and play a guy like Toppin, that certainly is something that is going to help you from a standpoint of being ready for a Big Ten. You're ready for Morez Johnson if you can handle play against Toppin.
Him being left-handed didn't make it easy. But you guys asked a question about losing at home. We mentioned Tennessee, right? And we mentioned USC. They lost at home to Maryland, and I believe Michigan State. 4 games.
Ooh.
Yeah, Maryland's good for
okay.
Yeah. Maryland's just evil.
We got to read a scouting report, man. When they say this guy is going to go over his right shoulder, we got to jump on that right shoulder and send him back over that left shoulder at least one time.
I agree with you. Griff, I watched the Illinois women's game Sunday and saw the exact same thing. I'm sitting here and I'm showing my age. I'm screaming at the TV, not that the TV is going to do anything. It's like it's the same thing. Make him go right, even if he makes it. I mean, I think the percentage is going to go down. He's not going to go 9 for 9 at a Division I level with the opposite hand shooting over guys his same size, equal height, or taller. Just don't see it.
He had to, man, but I'm not going to lie. He did hit some tough, like that little floater set jump hook shot. That is a tough shot to do. That's a tough shot. But something tells me he is in that gym throwing up 500 of those a day.
And for the people listening to this podcast, this was not Illinois playing bad defense. This dude does this every game.
Oh, no. He big time.
I mean, we see that, but I'm telling you, there's a reason he was Big 10 or Big 12 Player of the Year and an All-American. Kid is good.
Yeah, he's going to be Big 12 Player of the Year this year unless somebody come take it from him.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
because that kid's a stud, and and the other thing is he plays tough the whole game. I thought it was a real credit to him how he played, and I actually think it's interesting because there was a point when Texas Tech probably was guilty of going away from him, but it's so hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard to cut leads, when you're going down and getting 2 points. Now the Illini weren't able to get 3 points, but they were getting some free throws and we're making some 3-point plays, which made it tough on Texas Tech, which then made them kind of go away from Toppin a little bit, and that's the beauty of the 3-ball and the way Illinois plays. I just thought the thing. I got to go back to Stojakovic for a second. I wonder just how good he's going to be when they, again, when Tomislav is back and they start stretching the court a little bit more. But, man, I thought Stojakovic was amazing using his length. And all he had to do was get his shoulder in front of his defender. Now I think he had 1 or 2 of his shots blocked, but those were massive efforts on Toppin's part. Yeah. And I like the idea of Stojakovic he's not going to get blocked very often. And I thought his ability to change speeds and go down the lane was better than I anticipated.
If you're an opposing coach and you saw what Illinois did tonight and they didn't shoot the 3-ball like they have, what the hell are you thinking? And I guarantee it, Illinois played a very mediocre team in Jackson State last week and went up in the polls. I can only imagine to see where they're going to jump next week. Yeah, because they beat a really good opponent team. And a lot of people, I mean, I look at some of these websites, I look at the credibility of them. A lot of people already had them in their top 10. They're dangerous, man. They are dangerous. And this is fun. This is fun. And for the people out there, I guess, Griff, you and I can say this, who thought Illinois wasn't athletic enough to guard, you can throw that crap out the window. Okay, they guard. They play defense. They're long. They're in better spots. And last year's last year, but it's the most recent year that we have to compare. They are a much better defensive team. Brandon, thank you. And that's exactly what I mean. Illinois is a top 3 team, Ken Palm. That's what I'm saying. People know this team is dangerous.
What is
so?
Why do we have so many? We just need one ranking system. Jiminy.
So what Ken Palm is, there's a couple of them. There's Ken Palm, and then there's another one that I have here. It's called Evan. I can't think of the name. I'm pulling it up right now. Their computerized system. The computerized system. He's been out a while. I'll be honest with you.
When I was in school.
No, he wasn't. But so what is it? I'm not and Mike will tell you this. I'm not an analytical guy. I'm not. I don't because I like the eye test. It's Evan Maya. Thank you, William. What it is, a lot of these people look at the analytics, and everything, Griff, today is plus and minuses and analytics. And right away, when you pull up the Evan Maya, you know, they got the top 10 teams in the country, according to Evan Maya: Duke, Houston, Purdue, Connecticut, Illinois, number 5, Michigan, number 6. They ranked the top. They ranked the top. Yeah, they got the top 10 players. Guess who's number 7 on that list? Tomislav Ivicic. You know, so I don't know. Again, I'm not a big fan of it. I understand why people use it. Some coaches live and die by the plus and minus. They mentioned that with Stojakovic tonight. They mentioned the fact when he's in the game, he's plus 10. So I understand some coaches like it. I'm not going to get frustrated because I didn't, you know, to each their own. Because I don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't work and it's not effective for some people. But the eye test works for me. And actually, Shauna Green Illinois women's coach made that comment last Sunday. But there's a lot of analytics out there, Griff, that people are using, and those are 2 that we just know.
Yeah, I'm just an
old school. I may have a heart attack.
What?
St. Dominic's Rosary said, "Great game." I don't know what to do or say.
Get an aspirin, Mike. You're having a heart attack. Grab an aspirin, man.
Oh man, I gotta get those baby aspirin. Start doing that. Holy cow! No, I tell you what. Let's do the plus minus because I know some people ask for that. No, the best guy on the team was Merkovich at plus 8.
See,
you had Kylan Boswell at plus 6, Jake Davis at plus 2, Keaton Wagler at -5, Big Z at 7, Stojakovic at 7, Rickhouse at -5, and Jason Jaxtis at 0. It was good to see him in the game when it actually mattered, and so I thought that was cool. I don't know that J.R. Toppin was, or I don't know if Toppin was too afraid of him, but I thought it was great to see him out there during when it counted. And the other thing I guess I look for is Petrovic when he comes back. I think he's going to be the type of guy who's going to be a harassing defender because it just can't be Boswell. You need to get 1 or 2, and I think Stojakovic. Again, I don't think Stojakovic is ever going to be a Steve Bardo, handcuff people.
Oh, no.
But I do think he is going to be a really good help defender who's going to be a big pain in the ass to other teams.
I definitely don't like him guarding the points, though.
You know why they do that, Griff? His wingspan. And there was a statistic, and I don't want to butcher it, but he led some forwards or something like that in block shots in his wingspan. Like you guys, I was setting up for this podcast, so I didn't get to see the block at the end of the game. But he leads, or he was one of the top wings or something as far as block shots. So that's why, and it's tougher for guards to shoot over him. Brad likes that length. And that's why he did it. And he's quick enough to stay in front of him. But at the same time, I would put Wagner out there because I think he does a good job as well. But that's why he's out there. I can assure you that.
Yeah. And I do think there is something to be said for that, especially if you look at Illinois, the problems they had in the early Underwood years with those long wings like Ohio State had at the time. It just gave, I mean, that gave Underwood just fits. And I'm sure that is part of what's going on, when he's looking at that and trying to figure out, what he wants to do. But I do think they've got one lockdown defender, and I got to say, when Boswell came here, I was like, well, I'm not certain if he's athletic enough. I wasn't super excited. And I got to be honest with you, the effort level with which he plays, I got to say I was wrong on Boswell. I don't know how you guys feel, but he's turned out to be a leader that you almost don't want to think how things would be if he wasn't there.
At one point in time, until he reclassified, people forget he was a top 25 basketball recruit. He potentially would have probably been a McDonald's All-American. Now, I know that's the high school to college. He had a rough couple of years in college, but when his first college basketball game, guys, he was 17 years old. So he's growing up, and people were saying that the comments that were made about him in the postgame today, and the coach from Texas Tech calling him a stump, or something like that, which was a compliment because he's such a strong kid. I remember going to media day down at for Illinois this year. Coach Underwood shared a lot of personal things with me about the team and stuff that I'm not allowed to share. But the one thing he did say to me, Colin Boswell is going to live at the free throw line. He is, and we've all heard this, one of the strongest players that he's ever coached, and he's so level-headed. He's grown. He's just wise, and he's not afraid to shoot the ball anymore. I mean, we know how good he was last year, and we were all hoping he carried it over. He did. And Brandon, what you just said is why NBA teams are looking at him. He's 20 years old. He's young. Because he played 4 years of college basketball, he will not turn 21 until sometime next year. So the NBA scouts are there looking at him as well. People are thinking, oh, come on, kid. Then ask other media guys who cover the program. I'm not going to lie because it's too easy to fact check it. That kid has a legitimate shot. And, you look at what they see and look at how well he plays in the two-man game in the pick and roll. And can't say he can't defend because we've seen that.
Yeah. That's all the NBA is nowadays. Is two. Like, I don't even understand why they don't run offense no more, but all they do is run two-man pick and roll. Pocket pass. It's just ridiculous now, but he definitely has that in his bag. He can sleep doing that all day long. Pick and roll.
Oh, hey, by the way, guys, Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everybody vulnerable. And what do these data brokers do? Well, your name, your contact info, social security number, home address, even the information about your family members could all be compiled by data brokers and sold online. Ked, they've even heard about your fortress of solitude up at the North Pole. Have you ever been the victim of identity theft, harassment, doxing? If you haven't, you probably, there we are. Marcus has been. And if you haven't, you probably know somebody who has. Delete Me can help. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/hit and use promo code HIT at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/hit and enter code HIT at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/HIT, code HIT. So, folks.
Hold up, guys. Guys, I got to go because I got an important call. Sorry, but love you guys.
We will let you go. Thank you so much for coming on, Marcus. Yeah. We're waiting for Brad to come. You have a safe evening.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. So let's I'm going to have to go in for some counseling, Ked, because we've now got St. Dominic's Rosary with 2 positive comments in a row.
When you win, great things. When you win, great things happen. People are happy when you win games, and
they did this in impressive. They did this in impressive fashion, I thought.
Yeah, they did, and I don't. I'm really sorry. We can agree to disagree. I mean, I don't base, upsets off betting odds. I just think that's ignorant because even if you're at home, I mean, do you know how many teams that come in to, UConn could go into somebody's arena being number one in the country, and playing a team that's not ranked at all. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it's a good win. And I think why the win matters is long term. Texas Tech is going to be a high seed in the tournament. And right now, it gets people talking about Illinois basketball. It was on national TV. Everybody liked it. And they're deep. Mike, you mentioned something earlier, and we got off sidetracked. I don't know if I know you won't agree with this. I don't really want to see Ty Rodgers come back this year. This team is so deep. You're right. Brad is playing about 8 or 9 guys. And I think he'll go 8 or 9 guys. He's not playing 10, 11 guys. He's just not.
Yeah, I agree.
And the guys playing right now deserve to be on the court. There's nobody who's not playing right now who doesn't deserve to be on the court. We can say, yeah, Jake Davis. And Jake Davis is, love the kid. I love his dad. But we all know that he's going to lose his starting spot to Stojakovic, but he's still going to play. So why would you waste, Ty's minutes and he's not going to get very many words? So I get it. I understand. But I wouldn't waste a year on that.
So here's a question. Chris Short, IlliniGuys.com subscriber, has, Ked, do you have any concern about not moving the ball? Illinois tonight only had 5 assists. Now Kylan Boswell had 3 of those 5, and then Merkovich had 1, if we remember that pass, and Stojakovic had another. So any thoughts on that, Ked?
I do. Every game's going to be different, and you have to coach and play every game different. This was not a game where you were just going to get a bunch of open threes. It just wasn't going to happen. Both teams, it was a grind-out game. That's why you didn't see Illinois launch a bunch of threes when they could have. So, yes, I understand that. You didn't get a lot of assists, but the one-on-one matchups is what was working. So here's an example to that question. You had Andre Stojakovic, who couldn't be guarded at the elbow on the free throw line. Why go away from that? Why bring him out there to pass the ball around then to make a cut, and then it could potentially be stolen? You have to look at every game and the way teams are defending you. People are going to run Illinois off the three-point line all the time, but when they do, they pay for it. They pay for running Illinois off the three-point line because they can post people up and their guards can get to the rim. So I really, really love the fact that they're not one-dimensional. And I'll tell you, I was sitting there watching Brad Underwood, and the game's getting close. He didn't get up. He didn't move. This team's older. They know what they're running. And I'll tell you what's impressive for Stojakovic to not have a lot of practice. I know he's practiced many game situations. He ran the offense like he's been out there the whole time. So that's why you have to look at every game is going to be different. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to play some highly ranked opponent teams, Missouri. They're going to have an opportunity to shoot the threes and pass the ball and do all those things. Tonight's game, I don't think just presented it. And somebody asked about Ty Rodgers, could he play over Jake Davis? He probably could, but Jake Davis is not going to get 25 minutes a game moving forward, 30 minutes a game. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see that happening. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, and I think that how you use Ty is you may use him to deal with a guy like Toppin defensively. He gives you another body to go in there. Although I think that is going to be that's a tough ask of anybody because you can see Big 12 player of the year. Although I do think that freshman at Kansas, now that I think about it, that kid's really good. So Toppin might have a little bit of competition for that. And then of course, we've got some great games coming up with Alabama and UConn. And to give you guys a little bit of a preview, one of the things I guess I would go over real quick here as we're waiting for Sturdy to come on. We'll do a post-game show for the Colgate game. Anytime we can deal with a toothpaste, we're excited. So Colgate is a toothpaste from my youth. And so we will be on after that game. Now then we will do Maryland at Illinois. Ked and I will do halftime. And we'll also do a post-game show. and we're still trying to look at our schedule to see if we might do a pregame for the Maryland. That is a critical game as Illinois tries that march to go 9-3. So that's a big one. And then be looking. We may have a Eye on the Illini special. Folks, you need to go to Illini Guys front page and look at Larry's story on Craig Swope. For those of you who don't know, he was a legendary Illini player on the '83 Rose Bowl team. In my opinion, the hardest hitter pound for pound that I can remember Illinois ever having. I mean, he was a literal wrecking ball. Was an All-American as a sophomore, and now he is dealing with some CTE issues. And it's a gut-wrenching story, but Larry had some time to get with Craig. We're trying to see if we might be able to do a podcast to have that on as well. Just a fantastic interview that Larry wrote about, and if we have the opportunity, if you could subscribe to the Illini Guys YouTube page, subscribe to our podcast, and you'll be able to get that when we release it. And of course, if you subscribe to the IlliniGuys.com, you'll get it as well. And more importantly, you'll get access to the message boards, and that's where you can talk to Larry, Brad, Ked, Matt, Zeno, myself. Guys like Marcus are out there on the message boards. Jonathan Kerr, you have got David Williams is out there. They don't come on very often. When they do, there's some fun discussions because they will jump right in with both feet. And so they're
and David's not bashful.
No, David is.
We've had some conversations on Facebook, and I'm gonna tell you, I thought, kid, you got to remember who this dude is, but I just had what I had to say. I got to speak my mind too. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm like, we're two opinionated guys, go head to head, and we went at it. Then when it was done, we were still friends.
Yes. Well, and like I said, I would love to, like I said, anybody who wants to join Illini Guys, it's 27 cents a day, $99 a year. And to be honest with you, we don't make a lot of money doing this, but we do like to be able to pay, Ked or Matt when they go overnight to cover games, pay when Brad goes to New York City to cover the Illini playing, UConn at Madison Square Garden. Those are the type of things we like to be able to coverage, and that's what we use those costs to defray. So that anybody wants to join there, we'd love it. But make sure you go out to our message boards, because that's where there's thousands of Illini fans. People make relationships there, and they burn a lot of bridges too. So people are willing to argue about everything. The only thing we don't allow politics. So it's only sports, and it's all the time. So
Mike, I have a comment, if you don't mind.
Yep.
About one of the messages. Brandon made a comment about the UConn game. Out of all the games on the schedule, there's a lot of great games. I'm going to throw a little bone out there. This is the one game for me that I want Illinois to win. It has nothing to do with that Elite Eight run. So, obviously, I do recruiting, and I've done recruiting for, over 20-something years. And I just remember there was a specific recruit that Illinois was going after and UConn was going after. And the parent was really nice about letting me see some of the comments and the negative things that they thought about Illinois basketball. This game, to me, I think if Illinois can pull this off, all the people out there listening, regardless of what state you live in and what country you live in, you're going to hear me roar, because I just know that stuff. People don't think that stuff still goes on, and it really does. And I know Illinois doesn't do that, because I've asked other players and coaches, blah, blah, blah. But this game, to me, is going to be great. The kid is no longer being recruited because he's in college right now, but I will make sure when that game comes when Illinois plays UConn, I text that parent and bring it up, especially if they win. So I like the Alabama-Arkansas game, and I like the Tennessee game. I think that stuff's all great, but this is the one game for me that matters because of the history. And I'm sure people like Terrence Shannon, Marcus Domask, and those guys, Coleman Hawkins, I'm sure that they'll be excited if Illinois can pull off their win since the end of their magical run 3 years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that game, I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Tip of the cap to Underwood, because he has set up a schedule that, to be honest, is Izzo like. And as much I know people don't like Tom Izzo, but that man schedules that Michigan State team and gets them prepared, and they do generally outperform, expectations most years, for because he hasn't been maybe recruiting at that same level. And I look at what Coach Underwood has done for this team this year, and you again, Texas Tech today, next Wednesday, Alabama. You've got the 28th, UConn, December 6th, Tennessee. That is, and then I guess I really should include, of course, December 22nd, Missouri. That is going to be a tough group of games, and this team is deep, and if they can avoid injuries and come back from injuries, I think this team is going to be really, really good. And that schedule, iron sharpens iron, and I think this is exactly what they need to get good.
They do. I want to take a different path again. Andre Stojakovic, I want people to understand, and I think if there's any recruits out there listening and you're thinking about not just Illinois, but maybe a Big Ten school, this kid was one of the best scorers in college basketball last year. Until his game the other night against Jackson State, his last game, he scored 37 points against Virginia Tech. And guess what? Nobody saw it and nobody cares. But because he's playing on the big stage in Illinois, I know fans may not, they're not used to hearing this. They're one of the best programs in college basketball. Because he's at Illinois, because of the media market, because of the coverage, he is posted everywhere on social media. And this is what you get when you make the right move and you go to the right school, because you're going to get that coverage. I'm talking every national outlet, and they're obviously talking about his father. My daughter is young, and I kept telling her, I'm like, honey, you should see his dad. His dad was just as good, if not better. And obviously he was better because he played in the NBA. But my point for telling you guys all this is that, you give up a lot. I mean, and people are saying, oh, he's not going to score. They're going to score. He'll get his, and Kylan got his, and just think, Tommy's going to get his to run offense for him, and David's going to get his. I think they could potentially lead the country in scoring, if not definitely one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country with the way they play and how many scoring options that they have, and even guys off the bench. So the team is deep. It's fun, and they can shoot it. I like when they shoot it, but tonight was a little different. It's kind of reminded me of a football game. It was a grinded-out game. Illinois didn't push the ball because they didn't want to turn it over. They didn't want to get in a track meet. And winning those games like that shows that they can win multiple different ways, and that's what great teams do. I didn't think this team would be this good. I knew they would be good, but no one, maybe the coaches did and the players because they were there, like Griff said, thought this team would be this good. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, and look, the bottom line is the real thing Ked's wanting an interview with is with Stojakovic's mom, because that's what Ked does. He's the mom whisperer. So
that's going to happen, and there's no sarcasm in that. Just kidding.
Yeah. The supermodel. Any thoughts on why Ben played over Big Z down the stretch? We think Zeno Joe, one of our reporters, said that Big Z was pointing at a hamstring and kind of rubbing it gingerly. So I think down the stretch, I think they went towards Big Ben just to be cautious. But when Brad gets out of the post game, we will try to see what he says about that.
I have an answer for you.
Go ahead.
I'm reading this off of a media credential guy. Underwood was not happy with an offensive rebound. And he mentioned the fact that in the second half, it was due to matchups. So here's what I was saying to you. When we talked about, why he wasn't playing and this and that, a lot of it's just matchups and how the game's being played. Because Texas Tech went small. Illinois stayed small with them. So it was, and it could have been something that Z may have seen. I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case because it could come out tomorrow. But from what I'm reading right now online is that it was all about matchups is why he didn't play a lot the second half.
Okay. And we got Brad Sturdy. He's going to be in the semi-dark as he drives home from the game. Brad, give us some general comments on what you saw today to get us started.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know you guys were talking about Big Z not playing down the stretch, and they're playing Hummerkaus there, which has Illini fans at arm because anything Ben Hummerkaus is bad except for getting engaged to Adalia McKenzie. So that's just Illini Nation for you. But I asked Underwood directly about that, and basically it was about rotations. If you're going to double Toppin, then you're going to have the other guys in rotations, and Z's not going to be a guy you want out there chasing guys around the 3-point line or getting out there. And so that's why they did that. And then, and if you look down the stretch, that final 8 minutes, I think Tech ended up shooting Larry posted it on our message board. It were like 5 or 6 of 13 had turnovers and 0 from 3 down the stretch. And, really, if you take out that, the flagrant foul, which gave them 2 free points, Illinois did a really good job defensively down the stretch, and yet people are still mad. So after they win. So I don't know. I thought it was a really good win for Illinois. Stojakovic was fantastic. You see what they can do when they get him in those isolations on the right matchups. They kept putting him getting him in the switch on Anderson. It reminded me a few years ago of like when Northwestern just kept going to Boo Booey against Luke Goody. And it was a similar type thing. Illinois kept running that switch and getting that matchup they wanted, and they just couldn't stop him. And I thought they were, it was a great team effort. I thought the freshmen actually competed well. I thought Merkovich was the first time playing in that kind of environment. But I thought Wagler showed some toughness. He did some really good things. I think that the fact that he's not afraid is the thing that I love about him as a freshman. And Boswell, he made some mistakes, a couple mistakes, but he also made up for him on the other end with defensively or whatever, or maybe it's getting to the rim or whatever it was. He was really good. So I thought they had really good things. I will love this team. I think Big Z did some good things. Had a really nice game, and when they get Tommy back and they get Petrovic back, which I expect Petrovic to play on Friday, the ceiling's pretty unlimited for this group.
Yeah, Petrovic has been training with those chocolate donuts and cigarettes. Hopefully, so we'll get it.
Well, he's trying to get on He's trying to get on the Wheaties box. You got to do what you got to do.
If you guys haven't, just do John Belushi Olympics commercial. Just search that on YouTube. I'll tell you, and we got Captain Illini on here. Of course, he's got if it's the same Captain Illini, he's got a page on Facebook. You might want to join if you're an Illini fan. But basically, the layup with 26 seconds left in Stojakovic's block. We've talked about that. Brad, Ked, and I both identified the 2 steals that Stojakovic got in the second half that stopped the consistently getting the ball into Toppin. We thought those were game changers.
They were huge. And the great thing about it is Underwood talked about it postgame. That's something that he hasn't been in practice enough to work on. And so they haven't, they know he's going to be a good defender, but they haven't seen a lot in practice because he's just been going full practices this week. So this is a kid that's still not 100%. Conditioning, and so he's just going to get better and better as time goes on. So the upside's huge. I know that start the second half, you would have liked to see Stojakovic maybe out there earlier as Tech made their run. But again, I also think they were looking at he's got to be fresh enough to play down the stretch with his legs, and that I think he'll get better and better as they go on the season. And it's possible by next week, they have more depth in the backcourt and more depth in the front court, and that can be a really good thing. Yeah,
the only thing I didn't like about tonight's game was I think that Big Z should get a haircut as opposed to that version of the headband.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to give you a call back. He looked a little bit like Ennis Mophead Watley from the old WCW days.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. I will tell you, it was basically a big time victory. I thought the team played at a level I did not expect them to play that well, and I thought they handled. It took a little bit of time, but I thought they handled Texas Tech, to their credit, really amped up their defensive intensity in the second half. And while Illinois didn't play a half that I'm sure Brad Underwood is super excited about offensively, they were able to grind out a victory against a team that did not want to lose.
No question. I mean, Tech's really good, and they're known for playing really good defense. They're known for having and some really good shooters. They were taking 52% of their shots from three coming in, and they're known for having, probably a likely first-team All-American up front. I mean, Toppin's fantastic, and this is a really good. That's why it's such a good win. I think in the second half, we wanted to see this, and I know we had talked about this before. Want to see how this team, because they're new and have some young guys, how do they respond when they get hit in the mouth? And boy, that start of the second half. Texas Tech going 11 for 11 to start the second half. They got hit in the mouth. And so when they responded, I mean, it would have been easy to kind of, fold up, and they didn't do that. And they kept doing things that, and they made it. And I thought the defensive adjustments were critical, whether it's putting Stojakovic, whether putting Boswell on him. And I'm not saying it made them great defensively, because they didn't have a great defensive second half, but they were averaging 2 points per possession for the first 8 minutes of the second half.
Yeah.
And then they slowed them down the stretch. And I think that's what you have to do, because there's going to be times when teams are going to score, and you have to keep scoring, and they found a way to get to the line. When they weren't making threes, they got to the rim. I'll be honest with you, I thought Stojakovic probably got fouled a few times. They didn't call it. I thought Wagler got fouled a few times.
Wagler he got multiple times where just because he's a freshman, he didn't get the call.
Yep. And, I think there's a similar foul to what Boswell would get the call, and, he shot 12 free throws. So,
right.
Something, it's just part of that growing process and learning process. And one thing that was funny is McCausland had is standing there, he's yelling, Zelton Steve, the official, and I think it was him. But anyway, he says, he's like, hey, number 4, he's got his two hands on him, pushing every time, fouls every time. Next time down, Boswell kind of runs by the guy, doesn't even touch him, and he gets an and one and gets the foul call. So, officials are human, and when you get on them or tell them to look for something, they're going to look for it, right? And so I thought that was a really funny in-game kind of back and forth conversation with between the official and the head coach.
The other thing I was going to bring up to you, of course, Illinois started off down 7-0, so that could have erupted into a really rough game, and instead they went on 11-point tear to take the lead. And I thought that was another big moment where this team, again, they showed maybe more steel than what we might have thought they had before this season started.
Yeah, the way they've handled injuries kind of shows that they're a little bit resilient. Stojakovic talked about, obviously injuries are what they are. There's nothing you can do about them. And so it's funny how they're able to, to go through that. I think that showed out on the court. I thought Boswell's 2 threes there when they were down 7-0 were huge.
Yes.
And he's shooting the ball now like Kylan Boswell shot the ball for most of his life and before last season. So I think that's been really impressive. And so I really like the way that, they bounce back from those things. And you've got a leadership. You've got that senior who makes play. I thought it was interesting. The last play, they put Hummerkaus in one corner. They put, they had I don't remember, Wagler was in the dunker spot, I believe. Merck was in the opposite corner. And it was just Boswell and Stojakovic up at the top making that play, and Boswell gets the rim. they put the ball in the hands of those two guys. Their closers are going to be Boswell and Stojakovic here right now with Tommy out and with, Petrovic out. And those are going to be the guys that they go to. And, the other guys are spotted up or coming from a cut on a dunker, whatever it is. And they put the ball in the hands of those veteran guys. And I thought that's going to be the way that you win these close games, is have veterans make plays like that, and they get the basket and, still tried to make it interesting with the flagrant foul, which, wow.
That was a bad call, but, as an Illini fan, my angst was tempered by the fact that at the point that happened, Illinois had 22 free throw attempts and Texas Tech had 2. So I felt like I couldn't yell that loud about it.
Yeah, I guess by rule, technically, if you wrap up, it's considered a flagrant.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb. It's a little bit like some of the targeting calls we did see. It's like, by rule, well, then fix the rule. You know what I mean? That was clearly not. They were given a foul, and next time, you got to whack down and hit the arm. Whack him on the arm and knock it. Of course, you whack him on the arm, they may not call it, and you may have a turnover. So,
right.
Who knows? But it was a physical game too. I mean, I don't know if you could see it on TV as well, but that game was rough and tumble. I mean, there was contact all the time.
That was a Big Ten game.
It really was, and yet they showed off. They were able to handle that, and I think I said this: playing the Florida scrimmage won the game tonight, because if they hadn't played that Florida scrimmage, they wouldn't have seen anything like this prior to tonight. I'm not sure they would have been ready. So kudos to Brad Underwood for not playing another critter in a preseason scrimmage and playing a game like that in a really physical, what they tell me was Underwood called it a bloodbath. And that's going to prep you for games like tonight, for games like Alabama, for games like UConn, Mizzou, whoever in the non-conference, Tennessee.
Yes. No, I like I said, that it was a heck of a game. And Ant Wright, who's a friend of the show, he had congratulations to Illinois, the winner of the Terrence Shannon Jr. showcase.
I saw that.
He came on Eye on the Illini last year, was fantastic guest, and so that was great. Any final thoughts, Brad? Because I know we're getting on the hour and 15 minutes here, where our podcast distributor gets a little persnickety on how much we're posting here. Any thoughts on your end on that we want to wrap up with?
Well, I think the big thing is you saw a team that was able to play without Ivasic, without Petrovic, and without Brandon Lee too, who also is a really quality young player, and so it limits their depth. And they got the performance they want. You see what Stojakovic can be on both ends of the floor. You see that the senior leadership of Boswell. So this is a really quality win. And the great part is they didn't play great. And they still beat a really good team tonight. Now, why is that important? Well, you're going to have days when you're not your best, right? And so I think that's the way you have to you have to kind of be able to bounce back from things and win when you're not at your best. And I think they did that tonight. And, part of the reason they weren't at their best is because Texas Tech is pretty darn good. And, they're an Elite Eight team from a year ago. Toppin's just a complete stud. He's one of the best players in college basketball.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought this was going to be a dogfight. And without, a couple starters, I thought Illinois would be hard-pressed to win. And really, if it wasn't for that little call at the end that made it a little tighter, I think Illinois kind of didn't cruise, but this was kind of a no drama type of win overall, which really was higher than my expectation level.
Yeah, there were a couple times in the second half, like we talked about, they got them out, but they bounced back and took leads. I mean, it was 74-67 there for a few possessions. Illinois led for most of the game. So yeah, that's a good way against number 11. Vegas is insane, by the way. The line was 3.5. flagrant foul, it probably would have been a different line. So
Yeah.
Very interesting. Probably would have a different finish. So
yeah, they know everything, don't they?
well, they built big
appreciate
casinos. There's a reason.
it's very hard to not be able to run a casino. You have to try not to run a casino successfully.
Yep.
we will sign off, folks. But again, we will be on after the Colgate game. We will be on at least at halftime and after the Maryland game. We might even sneak in a pregame. We will let you know. And we're heading towards that clash with Alabama next Wednesday. There is a lot of Illini guys stuff. Please go to our front page. It's open to everybody in terms of Larry's story on Craig Swope. Please take a look at that. A gut-wrenching one, but it's good for Illini fans to see that and maybe find a way to help him because there's obviously some challenges there. We would love to have people see that. And as I said earlier, you can subscribe and follow us, on YouTube. You can like these and forward these out on social media, and certainly go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. Pretty much anywhere that you can get a podcast, we're there, and we're on Believe.com, but we do a lot of stuff with Apple as well as many other podcast distributors. And most importantly, if you can subscribe to the Illini guys, 27 cents a day, and we use those dollars to help get Brad, Matt, Ked to and from games so that we can cover those expenses and help them when they're driving in the middle of the night in the dark in central Illinois or whatever godforsaken state you have to drive to get to an Illinois game here and back. But we any support you can provide, we love it. It allows us to provide this coverage of Illini sports. And until next time, go Illini, and thank you so much for listening.